Hello crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here. In today's Brother Scan and Cut Tips and Tricks tutorial, you are going to learn how to create Hershey Nugget Treats. We will be using the SDX 125. I'm using a cutting area of 6x6, so you'll learn how to change the cutting area. And you're also going to learn a couple other skills such as auto layout, and you're going to learn how to save and retrieve a file so that you have a reusable template that you can use over and over again. I just want to show you what the template looks like, and there's a reason I want some of these going in this direction and some going in that direction. There's a reason for that, so we'll get to that. So let me just start back by, I'm going to start at the very beginning. I'm deleting all patterns. So first thing I want to do is just make my area just the way you would see it. And now we're going to go back to the very beginning. All right, so here we go. You turn on your machine and you see pattern and scan. I happen to be using 6x6 designer series paper. I'll explain why I'm using it and what I'm doing with it, and you'll get to see an example at the end of my video. But suffice it to say that I'm using a whole pack. I think there's 40 sheets in there, something like that. So I'm going through the whole pack and I'm cutting it up. So I want to cut one piece at a time. You could put 4 sheets of paper on the mat at a time. However, there's an area of my mat that happens to be stickier than other areas of my mat, and that is the top right corner of my mat. So let me show you that before I show you how to change the cutting area. And I already have a piece of designer series paper right there. Here's another piece ready to go. That just sticks better than this area or any other area. Plus, not only that, between cuts, I like to always scrape my mat, maybe sharpen my blade, peel things off. I like to work quickly, and it just works better for me when I cut one 6x6 sheet at a time. Of course, you have 6x6 paper. You could create 4 little templates. You could put a template over here if you want. Or I'm sorry, not really 4 little templates. You could create one template and lay out the same thing 4 times and cut all 4 sheets at once. Do whatever works for you. This is your project. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I just like to teach tips and tricks based on whatever I'm working on at the time. And so you'll always see me change up the type of tutorial based on the project I'm actually working on, because I always like to teach you in context. So here's where we are. We turn on your machine and you're going to click on this button here. Now it's set to a 12x12 mat or a 12x12 cutting area. And you may have thought that you only had 2 options. You may have seen this before and said, well, I don't have a long mat, because like in the SDX 125, for example, I can use the 12x24 mat for both scanning and cutting. Okay, you might, but if you have a CM350, you can use this 12x12 to cut on but not scan on. That's just another feature. So you might have thought, oh, I don't have that other size mat, so why would I ever want to change my cutting area? So there's a reason to change your cutting area. There's a couple reasons. There's many reasons to change the cutting area, but since I want to keep on working with the top right corner, I want to change my cutting area to that corner, so that when I use the auto layout feature, which I'm going to teach you, let's put that right there. When I use that auto layout feature and let the thing sort of lay out in that section, it'll make the most use of my designer series paper. Okay. Also, it won't accidentally cut into this area as well. It won't cut into that area. And then we can also just sort of do it as a little layout. I just like changing my cutting area if I'm going to be doing a lot of cutting with the same size paper. So that even though I used a 6x6 cutting area, it doesn't cut all the way out to the red. The red line it doesn't cut all the way out to the edges, just so you know. No matter what I do here, it can't cut out to the very right and left side. So we say okay after changing our cutting area. Now we're going to go to pattern, and what I want to do is create the toppers and the trays for my Hershey Nuggets. You're using the same size either way. I'm just going to click on a square, change this button here, click on this button. This button allows me to change the height and the width without staying in proportion. If I don't check off that button, or if I should say if it's not selected, and then I try to change the height and width, will stay in proportion. So always check that so that you can change the values independently. So here are our sizes for the topper. So let's just say we're using this for the topper. We have 2.25 by 5 inches. That's the top of my treat. If you were using this for the tray, you could even go a little bit, you could still make it 2.25 high, but a little bit smaller on the width. I will have all of these, let's see, dimensions we'll call them, in the description. We're going to click set and put that on the mat. So there it is. See that? There it is. Now, let's just add, we're going to add a shape. We'll add, let's see, one more. We're going to add, let's see, change that. We'll add one that's 3.25 high. That we're going to make the nugget wrappers now. 3.25 high by 1 inch wide. Okay, now let's just show you what those are, just to give you some context here. These are the Hershey Nugget toppers. I'll go over the ink colors in a little bit. These are the Hershey Nugget wrappers to wrap each candy around. You'll see how I do that too in a little bit, because I like to give you the whole complete picture, and I have other ways I can make the toppers as well. So let's just say, we're going to say, first of all, let's see if we can, how many we can fit on the mat. Let's try to put all 5 on the mat. Let's see what it says. It's telling us there's not enough space on the mat to put all 5 in there, okay? Let's just say, I wonder why that is. Let's go back to just trying to put 1 on the mat. Okay, not enough space on the mat. Interesting. Let's try to change it to a width of, let's try to change it to a height of 1 inch and a width of 2.25. I'm going to show you why I did that. I did that on purpose, by the way. We like to teach how to troubleshoot here. I'll show you why. Okay, and then let's just put 3.25. Okay, we couldn't even get 1 on the mat when I made it too tall, but let's try to get 5 on the mat now. 5 total. It says not enough space on the mat. The most you can get is 3. Huh, interesting. The most I can get is 3. Okay, we'll go with that. We'll just show you what that was about. All right, so that's kind of interesting. It only let me put 3, but I know for a fact that I can get 5 on this mat. So what happened is, because I moved this down off the top a little bit on purpose to show you, it did this kind of thing. It was only letting me use this little area. It was only giving me enough for 3. But if I take this now, I'm going to teach you about the auto layout. The auto layout helps you get most out of your mat. I know for a fact. Look at my templates. Look how many I've cut. There's way more than this, but some are pulled to shreds. See, I know I can fit 5 nugget wrappers on here. I know I can. But I don't want them all going the same way anyway, because some of them have little writing on them, and I like being able to have options with the patterns. Anyway, let's go ahead and go to edit. I'm going to select one of these, and I'm going to go ahead and say object edit. And this may look a little different with your CM 350 or ScanNCut 2, but either way, we can make, let's see, we want a total of 5. 1, 2, I just added 2 more. I said 3 total. I had 1 selected, that's straight, good. So now I have my topper, right? And let's just go ahead and just say, okay, I have my topper. I'm just toggling through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wrappers. But look at how hot mess that is, right? How's that going to fit on my paper and make it the most efficient for the template? Well, here's how. We use what's called auto layout. Okay, I told you I was going to teach you several skills in this tutorial. And the one skill I said I was going to show you was changing the cutting area, which we did. The second skill I said I was going to show you was called auto layout, which we're going to do. And then the third skill is how to save and retrieve the template after we get it. So let's show you the auto layout. We click OK. You see this button with all these shapes that look like going in all different directions? We want to use the auto layout. What it's going to do is make the most efficient use out of this area of our cutting area. The first option allows you to let the computer or let the machine decide which orientation these need to go. I like that option because I actually want some of these. Some of them have script writing, font on them, I should say. So for those, I like to wrap the nuggets in that direction. Other times I might want the wood grain to go a certain way. I like when they don't all go in the same direction in this particular case. So I like the first option. The second option is it's going to only orient them, up or down. It's not going to put them in any other angles, just straight up or straight down the shapes. And the third option is going to orient them all in the upright direction. And it's still going to, these are all auto layout options, but the first option is the one that's the best option because it makes the most use of your mat and it makes them go in different directions. Isn't this awesome? Now I have some going this way and some going that way. When they cut out, I have more options on how I can use this designer series paper. So let's click OK. Now they're a little too close for comfort for me. Not to each other, that's fine, but they're a little too close to the edge of my cutting area. And unless I want to sit there and every time let me just show you what I mean. Just got to go back to this. Unless I want to move this every time, like put my paper slightly over from the edge, I don't want to have to do that. I want to keep putting my mat. I want to just make this mindless. I want to cut the whole pack of paper all at once. That's why I stopped to make a tutorial, because I thought I'll be out of paper and I won't be able to show you this, right? So, I mean, we have a limit, like Stampin' Up! Demonstrators have a limit of how many things we can get before the catalog launches on June 3rd. So I was only able to get like, you know, a couple packs of this paper. Okay, so I don't have much left. Let's see. What I want to do now is just show you one thing. I'm going to group these and move them over to the right a little. So we're going to click on Edit. And this is the selection tool. So we're going to select. And there's two ways to select, but we just want the second way, which is, this is to select just one area of the screen. The second option for selection is selecting everything. So that means everything in red is selected. Now we can click OK and back into Object Edit, and it might be in a different spot on your machine, but you still all have it. Click here, and it's a very similar tool to the auto layout, except in the auto layout there were many shapes inside the box, and in this one, the grouping one, it's just a circle and a triangle. Circle and a triangle is the grouping. We want to group these together, and now that they're grouped together, we can click the arrows and nudge them. Nudging means that you're moving things just one little pixel at a time. For this template, I like to be right in the middle of my 6x6 cutting area. Now I can mindlessly cut a whole pack of this paper, which I don't have left, I just have part of a pack left. But I can mindlessly cut them all without worrying about, am I too close to the edges? You know, all this stuff. Okay, click OK. So I have a perfect template, but wouldn't it be really nice if I could reuse this template? Okay, if I could reuse it. So we can, okay, we can save this template. So let's do that. We're going to click Save. And now you have all these options of where to save this template. We're going to save it to our machine, to Canvas Workspace when you're wirelessly connected, which I am, or to your USB. And then sometimes you have the option of to the computer as well if you're connected with a cable. Okay, it says you have a grouped pattern on the mat. You can't ungroup it once you save it. That's fine. Just say OK. And we're saving it. And at this point, if you don't have enough room on your machine, it would tell you that you have to clear some space. But in this case, I have 129 files. All right, so I'm gonna cut it. So first I'm gonna show you how to cut it, because you're probably like, well, when is she ever gonna cut this? Then I'll show you how to retrieve that file that we saved. So let's click on Cut. You can save it right away and not worry about retrieving it until later, but let's just cut. So I'm using auto blade technology, meaning when you're using an auto blade, it knows what blade depth to cut. So it's a blade depth of, if you're using another machine where you have to set your blade depth, you would set it to, this is Designer Series paper by Stampin' Up. I'll show it to you better when I move the camera in a different angle. It is about a blade depth of 3 for Designer Series paper. So if you're using, for instance, you know, a CM model or ScanNCut 2, you would change your blade depth to a 3 to cut something like this, Designer Series paper. All right, so let's just right where we're at, we're going to move the machine away. I think I have my light on, so it should be good enough. So what I'm going to do is use my tools, not that tool, this tool. It's my spatula. So I just love working with these little templates, because this came off really easy, so I know I don't need to sharpen my blade. I save all my scraps in case, because I might be desperate for extra little scraps of Designer Series paper. These make good little bookmarks, little swatches for bookmarks or punching out. Okay. At this point, if there were any trouble here, if there was any trouble, meaning I didn't get clean cuts, I knew it would have been time to clean my blade or sharpen my blade. So I like doing one piece of paper at a time. So that's my topper. Here are my 5 wrappers. Okay, I've been cutting lots of toppers, and those are my wrappers. All right, let's put the wrappers in there. Hold it to put the toppers over here, and we're gonna put the next piece of paper in. See, double-sided. And we just keep going. You have a template, it's rather ScanNCut, it's golden. This is so much better than using a paper trimmer, trust me, especially when you're doing a pack of these. If you're just making one Hershey Nugget Treat, then you know it's one thing, but you know, whoever does one project at a time. Don't ever do one project at a time. I don't care if it's someone's birthday. Even just do more than one, because you can put thank you on the second one. You could give one to someone for their birthday, then you could make a second one for thanking the guy at the post op, your delivery man who delivers your Stampin' Up order, or whoever you want to stamp, whoever you want to stamp, whoever you want to thank. All right, so here's where we're at. We just cut this. We could cut this all day long. I will be doing. So let's instead, but we're going to just click home. delete all patterns. Oh no, we deleted all patterns. No, we didn't. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you now. It's the next day. You're like, boy, I wish I could make some more Hershey Nugget Treats. And I don't have to keep creating that template, right? Well, you have a template. So I told you the other skill I was going to teach you is how to save and retrieve the file or template. So we've already showed you how to save it. You save it after you're done creating it. And then you could have cut it, or you could have cut it, or you could have just made a template and cut it later. But when you're all ready, it could be the next day or later that day, you go to retrieve data, and sometimes it goes back to that screen here. You turn on a machine, you're going to click retrieve data. Now, it might be in a different spot on your screen, but there's always a way to retrieve your data. Okay, so I'm going to click retrieve data. And now it's asking you, where do you want to retrieve it from? From the machine, because that's where I saved it to. Or you can also retrieve it from Canvas. And I teach this in my courses. We could also retrieve it from a USB stick or from the USB cable. We just want to retrieve it from the machine. I find this way easier just to use the machine. I scroll down. I could scroll one page at a time or just jump to the last page. And there are my templates. You see, I'm always creating templates and using them again. And then I delete them as needed. There's my template. I retrieved it, and I click OK, and I click OK again, and I cut it. And if I want to do any adjustments to it, okay, we'll hit start. It says it takes a minute, but it doesn't quite take a minute. If I want to do any adjustments, I just click, I just change maybe the positions or the settings, and then I can save all over again. In fact, my tutorial is going faster than I thought, so you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and save it all over again just to show you that real quick, and then I'm going to show you how I would assemble, I should say, the Hershey Nugget Treats. Okay, we're all done. And if we did any adjustments, like say we move this around or we edit it, we can let's just edit something. Here, let's move it 1 pixel to the right. Okay, it doesn't matter, just for example. And then we did some editing and we did some changing. And then when we click save and we save it to the machine again, it's going to ask us now, do you want to overwrite this file? Well, or do I want to create a new file? Well, it depends. How much changing did you do? In this case, I nudged it 2 pixels. So of course I want to overwrite my file. That means I'll replace the file I have. However, if I did a lot of changes, it's better to create a new file at that point, because then you still have your old file, because maybe that was the better file. But in this case, we'll overwrite the file. And I think I'm done now with the machine part. So I could cut the cardstock at this point. You can make trays out of cardstock. I could do other things at this point. But I think I'm good, because just what I wanted to show you, we covered those skills. Now this little topper here, that can be used. I'm going to go ahead and unload the mat just to make room. That little topper can be used as both the tray and the topper for your project. All right, so here we go. And turn this down, and we will get this off. All right, so now we have loads and loads of options. We have the Hershey Nugget wrappers, and we have the toppers. I like to feature the in colors during every catalog. I did this I've done this 2 years in a row. That one must have had a little nick in it. See, this is what I mean. In fact, I didn't do this on purpose, but when your paper rips a little, I know it's time to resharpen my blade and things. That's why I don't like to cut all 4 sheets at once. All right, so here we go. The new in colors for Stampin' Up. Like I said, I'm doing this 3rd year in a row, and I always do it with Hershey Nugget Treats. So you may have seen this, but it's been a year if you did see it with the in colors, because it was a year ago I did it. Well, I mean, I've done Hershey Nugget Treats way less than a year ago. Okay, but I'm talking about how to make them with the in colors. I did that a year ago today, around a year ago, and I also did it. I did it the year before that, around the same time, right before the launch of a new catalog. I do the in color Hershey Nugget Treats. There's other times I do it, like I did it at Christmas time with Snowman Hershey Nugget Treats. So you may already know how to make these, which is great. So this next part will just be a review for you. And you never know, you get to learn about some of our new products, so stick around anyway. So let's say the new colors. Cinnamon cider. Okay, this is cinnamon cider. Just going to lay those there. This is just jade. Just jade. That's the second in color. We have 5 in colors. Put that there. The next in color is called Bumblebee. Okay, Bumblebee. This is, by the way, it's called the In Color Designer Series paper. It'll be available June 3rd. Then we have Magenta Madness. Magenta Madness. And then we have Misty Moonlight. Okay? We'll put the polka dots there. Misty Moonlight. So I made the you make all your nuggets, you make all your patterns. Now, you can create the tray out of either cardstock or designer series paper. Okay, well, let's just use, what do we have a lot of here? Here, we'll use, I already did one. I did my last tray. We'll do magenta. Here, we'll use this one. We're going to use this one for the tray. All right, so here we go. I'm going to, and I was using cardstock earlier. For the example I'm going to show you, I was using cardstock. So it doesn't matter. This is cinnamon cider cardstock. But I just thought, you know what? Cardstock is going to get really expensive, and then I might run out of cardstock because I'm afraid of like not just not having enough. I don't know. If you saw my ordering habits, you would know why I'm afraid of running out. All right. So, but anyway, so you can use cardstock. It's the same size, but you can also use designer series paper for the tray and the topper. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is what's called Simply Scored, and you can use whatever scoring tool you have or whatever, if you have your cutting machine, whatever, or paper trimmer has a scoring tool on it, either way. So what you want to do for the tray of the Hershey Nuggets is you want to go 3/8 of an inch. Okay, 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to make this a little bit less light. I'm going to make it a little darker so you can actually see the 3/8 of an inch. And let me zoom in there. There we go. So you can actually see me do this. I'm not going to lift this up. I'm just zooming in so you can actually see it. So we got 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch. What side should you use of the scoring tool? I like to use the small side. There's a big ball on one side, which I use for flowers, and then there's a smaller end of the scoring tool. See? I like to use the smaller end when I'm scoring designer series paper. Don't push too hard. That's the biggest mistake at my workshops, is a lot of my crafty friends cut right through the paper by pushing too hard. You can hear a little crease, and that's okay. You're breaking down those fibers. Okay? So don't push too hard. That's your score line. 3/8 of an inch. Flip it around. You could do math and get over here and do, blah, blah, blah. But I just flip it around, and it's easier to do 3/8 of an inch. Okay? I just know it's exactly the same every time. And there's my tray. So the inside, I think that would make a nice outside of the tray, and this would be a good inside of the tray. So then you can just sort of fold that. Now, if you have a little spatula, you can even use your ScanNCut spatula. It's good to, burnish the edges a little bit if you want. Just kind of, any kind of little spatula. There we go. So that's my Hershey Nugget tray. Now, if you want to be exact, you can actually make this like even a little less than 5 inches. Would actually work out better for your nuggets, but it's okay. Now your topper, but your topper does need to be 5 inches by 2.25. So we're going to just show you the toppers. We'll do a topper. Let's see, just so you can see what I mean. Sometimes you have the font go in a certain way. Like here, if you want the font to show, if you want the script to be readable, then you'd use this kind of paper. You'd use this pattern. Otherwise, use that side, because this side wouldn't look right if you make a topper out of it. When you fold the topper, it's not going to look right. Well, it's okay, but if you want this to be face up. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to lay it horizontally. I'm going to have because I want the script to be on the outside, this words, I'm going to lay it this way. It's 5 inches across, and I'm going to score it 2.5. Okay, 2.5. So now we can just sort of make the topper. And I love using my Simply Scored because I can push it up against the edge. And I should have a better spatula. Here's one. This is like my pampered chef spatula. It's like a stone scraper, and it really lets me get that just right. All right, so there we go. So there's our toppers and our trays. Let me zoom back out. So now we want to, let's see, you would do all that. You would do make half into toppers, half into trays. Now what I've been doing though, or what I did, is I was using the little cards. So when I show you mine, I used these little cards for some of my toppers, and it worked out good. Well, I'm just going to show you one example. But anyway, these are what's called the Flowers for Every Season, Memories and More card pack. I showed these during my unboxing, and I thought these would make good toppers too. So I'll be using a lot of these for toppers as well. It doesn't matter if I use these for toppers. I just want to go back to the whole base of this project. Look, if I'm going to use this as a topper, I take a trimmer, I take a paper trimmer, and I want the pattern to show, so I will make it again. Let me turn this light is really bright. I'm going to make it, again, 2.25 inches, right, by 2.25 inches across by 5 inches down, okay? No problem. So use whatever you want for toppers, cardstock, a Memories and More card pack, what have you. It doesn't matter, but because the principles are the same, and the measurements will be in the description. I'm putting a row of adhesive, I should say. Use snail or whatever rolling adhesive you have. And then I'm going to take my nuggets, and you want to lay out your nuggets and you want to lay out your project so you can get the wrappers to look cute the way that you lay them out. So I have what I have. I've been buying these, and I'll have a link to them. If you want to buy them online, please use my link. It helps support my channel. Hershey's Nuggets Assortment Party Pack. Okay, that's if you can't get to the store right now because of what's going on. Otherwise, just get these at your grocery store, of course. But I'm saying if you're going to order them online, just use my link to Amazon. Only if you're in the U.S. I don't have links to other countries. I just didn't go there. I have special dark sweet chocolate, and I have the toffee with almonds. So let's just take one of each kind because I like to kind of change it up a bit. And I'll show you how I label them to make sure people know that there's nuts inside as well. All right, so we have all these different kinds of nuggets. So I like to take, like, if it's a light color nugget, I like to use like a dark. I like to put them in the order too because I have labels. Let me just show you my labels so you know what I mean. I like to put it in the order my labels are in. My labels say on the back, I'll show you, I put these on the back. Cinnamon Cider, Just Jade, Bumblebee, Magenta Madness, Misty Moonlight. So I want to put them in that order, but I also want the wrappers to look good. So like there's a dark color paper, so I will put a light color. Let me put this here. I'll just put that there so you can see the 5 colors. You get to know our colors. It took me a while to get to know our colors. So I wanted to put Just Jade on there. So we'll just go ahead and put Just Jade on the light color. Okay, so I kind of like to lay out my nuggets ahead of time. So I'd have like a dark wrapper on a light. I just put a little bit of adhesive on there. Never use glue on food items. I only use rolling adhesive because if you use glue, it could seep into the food items. Little piece there. So now we're going to do Just Jade. But I don't want to put the same pattern, so we'll use this little wood pattern. You know, don't put the same pattern. Don't put like, unless you want all polka dots next to each other, that's fine. But I like to change up my patterns because I want to showcase our products, right? I'm showcasing the designer series paper. So like let my crafty friends see the patterns. Okay, what comes next? Bumblebee. So we'll use this little, we don't want to use the little scripty font because the scripty font is the same one that's on the tag topper. See the tag topper? So I've already used that little font, so I'll use this side for this one. But that's a light, so it's a light color, so I'll use a dark. We don't want to use that light nugget. And that kind of looks like the same. So that one has a little contrast in it. It doesn't really matter. There's just little details I pay attention to, but really, it doesn't really matter how you wrap your nuggets because it's going to look cute. But I like to just make my light color wrappers go around my dark color nuggets. That's just me. And the next color would be Magenta Madness. Oops, I should have not put the adhesive on there yet. And we'll use a polka dot one again because that looks cool. And then we'll use the wood again. So we'll use, let's see, Magenta Madness. And then since this is a dark, there's a dark color, Misty Moonlight, we'll put the wood on that one. See how I'm laying it out ahead of time? So that way, or it doesn't really matter, you can also cover all your nuggets ahead of time. And then still do your layout though before you put them in the tray. You make a little layout of how they're going to go. So when you put them in the tray, everything is already laid out. Now, we are going to have new adhesive in this next catalog, so I will give it a chance. But right now, I go through, I don't know, 2 of these a day, maybe every day or 2. I go through a lot of adhesive. So that's what I use. That's not a Stampin' Up product, but I'm going to give the new adhesive a chance. And I will let you know what I think of it honestly. All right, so now what we're doing is I'm putting these on the tray. So you see how there's already that, I remember I put that strip of rolling adhesive there. That's to hold them together. You want to leave the little gap there, and you just load them from the bottom up, leaving a tiny little space between each one. Tiny little gap. And then if you have to keep referring to the stickers that you made, the labels, or you know, whatever, just refer to your little chart or your catalog. Okay. Just Jade, and cinnamon cider. Don't worry that the wrapper came up a little. We can just add a little more adhesive there, because really the little row will help hold it down. Okay, put that wrapper back on. We troubleshoot. All right, so there it goes. Now you're going to take your handy bags. If you don't already have bags, use my link. We used to sell these at Stampin' Up, but now we don't sell the 2-inch bags anymore. So I just get these bags from they're like 10 or 11 inch, but you cut them down. So you cut a couple inches off of them so that they're easier to work with, so that they become about 8 inches. You want them to be about 8 inches when you try to shove this in there, or about 7 inches, I should say. Now I'm going to put them in Misty Moonlight side in there first. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. And now if my tag topper if this actually goes, if it's taller than, see, I want it to be like that. That's my tag topper. But if this happens to be, if I didn't cut enough off and the plastic goes up to here, then that's going to mess you up when you try to fold it. So make sure you just have enough of the cellophane so that it doesn't reach the top of that little crease. And then you want to make sure you put some rolling adhesive down the sides. Make sure you put it down the sides, because you're going to have to seal this kind of. Actually, you could have put it down the whole middle too. You want it down the sides and the middle. So kind of like that, at least like that. If you don't do the sides, it won't seal very well. I like to change this angle because I have so much light on, because if I don't have a lot of light on, can't see well. So that I'd like to show you how that adhesive goes on there. Don't worry that it gets messed up when they rip it off. I mean, the whole point is the packaging, right? You're spending time to package something nice for someone, so don't worry about, yeah, it's going to tear when they rip it apart. So what if it tears when they rip it apart? And if you don't have rolling adhesive, and you have to use a stapler, okay, fine. If you have to use Scotch tape, fine. I mean, use whatever you have, obviously, because people are going to love that you wrapped candy for them. It's just so much better than sticking 5 nuggets on their table, on their desk, or handing them 5 nuggets. And you notice how I made it go up a little bit, so it's real close to the top. That was a little too close to the top. There we go. What I did is I put it close enough to the top where it's sort of, see, this light is driving me crazy. Okay, so I still wanted it to be close to the top, but if you make it too far away from the top, what happens is then this gets droopy, and you don't want that to be droopy. Okay, so then I slap my label on it. Da-da-da. Okay, last time I got smart this time. Last time I put Hershey Nuggets contains nuts, and then I had to put the colors, and then it ended up being all the labels went up to here, and then I never got to put created by the papered chef because there's no room. This time I just made one label. That's my only label, and it's a longer label. So there you have it. And then the topper, my topper is using this new punch because I like to feature our products, and the new punch is called Lovely Labels Pick a Punch. And the reason it's called Pick a Punch is because you can pick which size punch, which type of punch you want. Okay, like that kind or that kind. Okay, so that's our new punch. So I was featuring that. So I did use that for my sentiments. And so I tried stamping onto the envelopes from the Memories and More cards I have, and I was using Misty Moonlight, but that just didn't work out because this doesn't have as good of ink absorption. So then I started using Whisper White for my labels. Misty Moonlight is from my paper pumpkin kit. It's just one of the new ink colors, so I wanted to use that color ink. It doesn't make a big difference on the yellow on the bumblebee when you go to stamp the bumblebee. However, it makes a big difference when you stamp onto Whisper White. Okay, so let me show you that. All right, 34 minutes. I hope I can do this quick. All right. Then I'll show you my final project. I have one that's already completed, but I just want to show you every step of how I made this so there's no mystery. So, trust me, you're lovely. That was just one of the stamps from a new set we have. And the stamp set, let me find that. I'm using a different stamp from that set. I know it's here. I think it's buried with my Hershey Nuggets. Here we go. It is called, it's another new product. June 3rd it'll be available. And you can get it as a bundle. And like this you save 10% when you get these two as a bundle. And there's also going to be another bundle special I'll be announcing. But this is a bundle. Lovely You, and Lovely labels, pick a punch. So the stamp I have right now is called You're My Person, because I like that. If I'm thanking someone, a customer, they're getting something, I can say, you're my person, right? Like, you're my person. I like that. Just a nice sentiment. So my stamp, I already mounted it. I show how to mount stamps in other tutorials. I just added a little Misty Moonlight ink. You're my person. I've already done the little punching, and this is my piece of Whisper White. Okay, so there's You're My Person. See, I just stamped it on there. That's all. That's how you stamp it. And then I would have taken, so it's about this size. It's about, I think I used like 2.75, not 3.25. I think I made these pieces of paper. I made them 1 inch wide for this punch, 1 inch wide by 2.75, I believe, because I wanted it to fit on this later. I wanted it to fit on my topper later. That's why I made it that size. Okay, so last step is I have this other punch. So I use this other punch I have, and these are just little accents. Of course, use your stickers, use whatever materials you have for your accents. In fact, you can even use, if you get this pack of paper here, these are called the Memories and More card pack. You can take some of these cute little accents, right, and use them. They'd be nice. They'll be nice to, oops, I already used that one. They're nice to put on a Hershey Nugget treat. I must have used that one too. I must have used the big ones for something else. You can't tell on the white ones. Here we go. There we go. You're my person. I like. So you can use little accents like that, okay? And little flowers and things. And then I used the small bloom punch. I'm not going to use this yellow flower on the yellow topper, because if I do, it won't have any contrast. So instead I would use a different, like I would use this on, let's get a Memories and More card, because I just want to show you how I would do that. Then I will show you my finished project. So here's a nice piece. Here's a nice piece to cut out of. See? So I would cut a little piece of, this is coordinating color, because these cards, in the Flowers for Every Season, Memories and More card pack, these are the ink colors, just different hues of the ink colors. So what I would do is I'd take a sponge, and remember I was talking about earlier, I like to tie some things back together I was talking about. I said when you have this scoring tool, and you have like a big, at the one end you have the little ball, and at the other end you have a bigger ball, and of course that just disappeared, then you can actually score, you can actually make your flowers puff up a little bit. Here we go. So here's what I'm talking about. So there's a big ball, I said I use for flowers, and the little one I use for scoring. So if you take the big ball, you can you can push down onto a sponge, okay? And you can make your flower become 3D that way. It doesn't look like it yet, but the more you twist, the more you do that, the more it becomes 3D. Ah, look at that, it's got a 3D flower. All right, so then you put a little, one of our amazing little in color enamel dots on there. And you're just gonna put that on your flower. All right, so you want to use a different color. So like, you don't want to use the Magenta Madness on a different hue of Magenta Madness. So maybe put the little, oops, there goes. And of course use whatever little tools you have to pick it up with. This is my paper snips, because they're just happen to be handy. And then you put that on there, You're My Person, with some extra little stickers. And voila, you have your Hershey Nugget treat all decorated. And I'll show you the one I made earlier as an example. And I used the Memories and More card pack. I'll put that over here. And oh, I forgot you can layer. So with that little punch, so I was using 1 inch, because this punch only goes, from like a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch. So one way to layer is to make one piece like 3 inches long, and then the next piece 2.75 inches long, and you still punch them the same way with this punch, but then you have layers, and that's how I did my little flower. And that's the envelopes from the Memories and More card pack. That's the envelope. I made the little flower. See how the flower's 3D? Just by using that little technique of using this little ball. And then this is just the topper from one of the Memories and More card pack. This is cinnamon cider cardstock. There's my Nugget Treats. And as soon as I'm done with this, it's going to look just as cute after I embellish it with some extra flowers, and maybe I'll do some layering behind that one as well. So that is how to make in color Nugget Treats, or pretty much any nugget treats. They don't have to be in color nugget treats, but this is how to create. I'm going to move the thing a little bit. This is how to create Hershey Nuggets with the help of your ScanNCut and of course some other products as well. So thank you for watching. This is the Paper Chef. If you're new to my channel, I hope you subscribe. See you later.